Good evening, everybody. Welcome back to the Gallowgateshots YouTube channel, and it is the two handsomest people from the Always Smiling Faces podcast tonight. It's myself and Decker. We've left those two ugly ones behind, mate.
Well, I'm not going to disagree with you, Emma. So yeah. Nice to see you. Nice to see you. How you doing?
Too,
right?
mate. You too. So yeah, we've spontaneously done this one tonight, mate. Just out of the blue, just to run through tomorrow's game. Obviously, last night, Friday night, great result for Newcastle. Fulham, despite obviously Wolves having that goal disallowed early on, they did concede in the dying seconds of that game. So yeah, that gives us a great target now, to the point where we can start to open up that little bit of a gap between ourselves and the relegation zone with Fulham, and even bring a couple of more teams into it.
Yeah, so, I feel like we've said this before, haven't we? In regards to this is what chance to, So we're here again. Is this the seventh time? Lucky, or however long it is.
Seems like every week I would say this, mate. It does, but full time on that Fulham game. Fulham players were crying. There's a few of them with tears in their eyes, thinking that may have been their chance. Well,
I've got no issues with Fulham. It's just unfortunate, I don't dislike them as a club, or I don't really dislike any of the players either. It's just, when they're alongside us in that battle, we want every single advantage we can get. And as you're saying there about tears in their eyes and all the rest of it, I think that them feel that this is a huge moment. And I think it is.
Well, I said this last week, didn't I, mate? When obviously the run of results, because they were getting the 3 points at times and obviously closing that gap, but it's been a while now where we'll say it again, accumulation of points. Newcastle picking up those draws in the last few weeks has helped us, not how it should be, but it has kept that gap between ourselves and Fulham, because Fulham haven't been really picking anything up. But now, and tomorrow's game is, I said this the other week, but it's huge, isn't it? It's absolutely huge. And the players, they have to look at that game tomorrow and think, right, come on, lads, it's Burnley. We've got a difficult run coming up after these. We can bring Burnley back into it. We can bring Brighton back into it. Now is our chance.
There's no... Surely every single one of them players would have been probably, maybe not watching Friday's game, but had an eye on it. And I imagine the WhatsApp group or whatever they're in would have been flying around when it was full time. So you would imagine that, given the confidence we would have gotten from the Tottenham game alone, the performance was quite good. It was a decent point. You've then got Fulham, who's had the chance to win the relegation zone before we play, have failed to do that. I just feel like everything's going well. And as you've mentioned about confidence there and the belief, surely tomorrow they've got to be going into that game thinking, guys, like, if we can win this one, that's 6 points. With a further game in hand, you would imagine that would be enough.
Well, I think we play twice now before Fulham play their next game, right? If I remember right. So we could open that gap even further. I know the next game after this one is a lot harder. But Burnley, they're not in a great run of form, mate. They're one of those teams that have been picking up a lot of draws. To be honest, it's similar to ourselves. Yes, very, very similar to us, mate. I've got the form here. I'll put it on screen there. So last week they beaten 3-2 by Southampton. If I remember right, Burnley took the lead in that game. I'm sure they're 2-0 up, and they got beat. But obviously the game prior to that was the win against Everton. But
they were brilliant in that game.
Yeah, in fairness, they were brilliant. That's the thing with Everton, though, mate. The lower league, well, not the lower league, but the teams lower in the league seem to play better against Everton. It's really weird, really weird.
Well, we're one of them, right? We're a case in point of that.
And I'm not saying they've got a couple of draws there, but let's be honest, one of them is against Leicester and one of them is against Arsenal as well.
Not bad draws at all, really. The only one that leaps off the page is the Tottenham one, and obviously the Southampton. But they're not in good form, you know what I mean? They're not, and they're at the lower end of the table. They're only just ahead of us, for good reason.
4 points ahead of us.
Yeah, 4 points, and as you say, if we can get the win tomorrow, that would drag them into it. And more importantly, I know obviously dragging them into it's key. It's getting us away from it. That's the overall goal, isn't it? And I definitely think you know, I shouldn't really probably say this, but I'm really, really confident for tomorrow.
Well,
And it's
this was
probably
my next
famous last
question,
words.
Digger. This was my next question because looking on social media, and me and Bessie mentioned this last week when we done the live watch along. Social media going in that Spurs game, people were saying, "Oh, I've got a feeling about this one. I really do." And we haven't seen that for a while. I don't know why and where people were getting this sort of feeling from.
Yeah, especially in that game.
I can understand it now
Yeah,
with the performance that we had against Spurs,
I agree.
and obviously getting on the score sheet twice, not just once.
Mhm.
So I can understand going in this one that we may have a chance. We may. But there's a post just sent in there from Dave Thompson saying, can't underestimate what a win tomorrow would do. A win leaves Fulham needing 6 points from 6, which based on the whole season won't get near. It's a great
Yeah,
point. That's 6 points ahead once again with the game in hand.
yeah. It's unreal,
So
man. It's unreal.
we'll have to take advantage of it. We do. But for me, my worry is, does Steve Bruce? I know he can't stick with the same starting 11 because we do have injuries there now.
Mhm.
But do Longstaff and Sean Longstaff and Shelby keep those positions in midfield? Because Longstaff, we've seen him in and out of the team a lot at the start of the season. Will Bruce be tempted to put Hendrick back in there? I hope not.
I've said a few times before, Bruce seems to be the type that rewards his players sometimes. You know, doesn't matter who the opposition is. If he thinks that somebody's did well the week before, he'll play them again. And in certain times, we've thought maybe he shouldn't do that because we need to change shape or change tactics or whatever. But he'll stick with the same team because that team did well from the week before. So for once, I'm actually hoping that he does that because I want to see Sean Longstaff stay in the team.
Mm-hmm.
You don't want Hendrick to come back in. The only player that you would have took back in would be Hayden in that position, but he's not available. So for me, you stick with that too. That worked before. There's obviously big questions if Wilson will play. I think that's on everybody's lips. Really, there's a few little things on social media I've seen about that. Will Saints start? Will Richie be still in the team? So Lascelles is obviously out for the rest of the season by the looks of it. So there's a lot of things, right, that could happen with our team sheet tomorrow. But the one that I want to remain absolutely key on is that Richie plays and Sean Longstaff play. They're the two I want to see and keep their places from last week.
Yeah, another one you could probably argue with is Dwight Gale. Dwight Gale alongside another striker up top. He takes a lot of pressure off that striker because Gale, we've mentioned this so many times that Gale sits on the last man looking at get those chances in and around the back of the defenders. So that opens up a whole new dimension. I can't imagine Callum Wilson starting, if I'm being honest. We'll put that straight out there now. But I want to see Gale start again as well.
I would as well because I think if you think if it depends on the formations, that's what's been in my mind today a little bit. I mean, if we play the same way, is he going to have Joe Linton and Gale and then Almiron? You know, that's kind of the three because Fraser's obviously injured as well. He's not fit, which is a shame. I mean, God, he doesn't like playing for us, him, does he?
Oh, every time after international duty, it takes around about 4 weeks before we see him again.
I know it's so frustrating because he's in a good run of form internationally anyway. But I think. I actually thought, as what you've mentioned there about Gale, I mean, I know he had that chance against Spurs, but he gets in them areas, doesn't he? And if Wilson's not on the field, we need that type of player to be able to just be on the end of things, being on the last man, if you like, do you know what I mean, creating chances. And I thought Joe Linton had a very good game against Tottenham. And I've been heavily critical, along with a lot of other people, about him. But, you know, there's Jack Ladd. Aye, Murphy. He's right, aye. Murphy has to start, right? Has to.
We're at the position now, mate, where we've been saying this for God knows how long, and both me and yourself haven't been huge fans of Murphy, but Murphy, when he has played so far this season, he's looked pretty impressive. He's done a lot more than what Fraser has done, and Fraser's probably had more chances when he has been fit. And Murphy just never seemed to get those starts. But after last week against Spurs, once again, he had a decent game. He was playing right wing back, wasn't he? He had a decent game. So for me, Bruce is in that difficult position right now where he has to start some of these players. So he has to start Murphy. He has to start Richie, Sean Longstaff, Dwight Gale. There's 4 straight away. And that's before you even mention players returning from injury in the likes of St. Maximin. So he's got a difficult decision to make now. But I would say that those 4 players, which I've just mentioned, have to start.
Yes, I do agree. Me worry is slightly with Lascelles being injured. What does our defence look like tomorrow? Now, my question to you was, and I did try and find this out, but I couldn't, was Fernandez. Is Fernandez available tomorrow, do we know?
Apparently he's been training this week,
Right.
but I'm sure I saw photos of him training a few weeks ago, and he hasn't really appeared since then.
No, he
so
hasn't.
I'm not really sure, mate. I think Clark is fit though, so I think Clark could sit in that centre the centre back role with, you would imagine, Kraft once again and maybe Dummett.
Yes, that's what I mean. If he plays the back three, or it's kind of a back five, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
If he plays that, then that would be okay. You know, you're right. Clark would be your centre of the three, Dummett to the left, and Kraft. I wouldn't like to see Kraft, if I'm being honest, but if that's all we've got, then that's what we've got, right? And then Murphy would be able to fit in at right wing back. Me worry was if we were short of centre halves and we had to revert back to the back four, you know, would he play Murphy right wing? I'm not quite sure on that one. But I think I'm hoping he keeps the same system that he did against Spurs, and that would mean Clark replacing Lascelles. I would love it to be Fernandez, if I'm honest, but if Fernandez is, as we've just kind of discussed, there hasn't really been around, has he? Yeah, it could be a risk. It could be, you know what I mean. So that's fine. I get that. Yeah, I could totally get that, of course.
Yeah. So let's flirt with the idea of this, mate. You have got the two players returning from injury. So Saint was on the bench and made an appearance last week against Spurs. Do you risk him once again, or is it a point now where you think, right, let's just leave it, see what happens in the first half, then make a decision after half time?
If I'm honest, I'm normally he's the man, lad. He's the best, isn't he? I'm normally of the opinion of put him on, get in the lead, then take him off.
Yeah.
Rather than like having to bring him on in the last 20 minutes when you're chasing a game. For me, why not just put him on, get him out the blocks early, get in the lead, and then rest him. And what I will say though, the games coming up are really, really tough, and I'm not sure I would win them with or without him. Tomorrow we have to win. So for me, I think it's a decent risk to take. And I could be totally wrong, but I think for me, you win tomorrow and you're safe. But the games after that, when you've got Liverpool, Man City's, Leicester's, whatever it may be, I don't think Saint would make a difference in them anyway. So I think play if he's fit and he came off the bench last week, I think I would start him.
Yeah, it's a third run of fixtures which we've got after Burnley. So you have to take all three. You have to tomorrow. But
if we drew, so you're saying that what happens if we drew? What would your immediate thoughts be?
I think if you don't get all 3 points, I think you're still sat there looking over your shoulder, and I think the players will know that as well. And I think it'll really affect the players tomorrow if they don't get 3 points, because I think, shit, like, we're still not out of this. And I know even after the 3 points, you're still not out of it, but you're opening up quite a gap there with 6 points alone. Obviously, I'm seeing 6 points. You could probably say 5 because our goal difference is shocking. But that cushion there is crucial. It really is. So if we come out with tomorrow's game, let's say a draw, right? Because we're like getting draws at the minute. Let's say if we come out with a point, we're still only 4 points ahead of them. It's not huge, is it?
It's not huge. But in fairness, them can't buy a win like Fulham. Like literally, like they just can't buy one. So I mean, I don't want to think about getting a point. Do you know what I mean? I want to be thinking about getting 3 points. There's a little. And one thing I just wanted to stress here: the goal difference that you mentioned. We're -20, they're -18. That's pretty close. So it's only 2 goals in it now. That seemed to have. I'm happy with that. That seemed to have closed a little bit as well. And there's so much more football to go. But I honestly think if we win tomorrow, that's what type. I mean, you think about our confidence as players, what we'll feel like. What will Fulham feel like? Do you know what I mean? Their players, even manager, I'll be thinking, we're done here. Like that's what I think. But you don't want to. It's also a real pressurizing game, though, isn't it? And the players will know that. Can them handle the pressure? Do you know what I mean? Because it is a big, big game tomorrow.
I think we need to get out of that situation, because this is something which a lot of people are dreading, and a lot of people in the comments have mentioned this. You don't want to be going into that Fulham game needing anything. You want to be safe as houses at that point. You do not want to be up against Fulham, because if I've got to put money on it right now, you know for fine well who I'm putting my money on to get the points from that game.
Yeah. No. Yeah. It'll be them.
Exactly, mate. And it'll be them, and I could imagine them absolutely giving a hiding. Never mind.
So
Just
I tell you what's funny. I was chatting to someone the day, and it's really rare that this happens. But like normally, when a team's at the bottom, like this third bottom, fourth bottom, a team normally bites a bullet, right, and gets a new manager, and you get that new manager bounce. I mean, Sunderland did it. It seemed like every year them used to sack someone and get somebody in.
Just
Obviously,
before
that
the derby, mate. They used to do it the game before the
always the
derby.
time, yeah. And that hasn't happened this year. So Fulham haven't bit the bullet. They've kept with Parker, and we are very lucky that the third bottom team aren't better than what they are. Like normally around this time, one of the bottom teams really comes alive and starts stringing some results together, some shock results that you're not expecting. As of yet, Fulham haven't managed to do that. We certainly haven't managed to do it. 2 wins in 21 or whatever it's been. I mean, as good as it's getting,
wins, mate. That's what you need. You need back-to-back wins right now.
Huge,
yeah, massive. There's Richard Boyd here has put a comment in saying if we beat Burnley, we'll only need 3 points. In my opinion, I would probably agree with that. I think even with the 3 points, if we do get them tomorrow against Burnley, I think it's going to massively deflate Fulham. It will do. They were deflated last night after that result. So if they sat watching our game tomorrow, it's a flip of a coin. If we win that game, then they're going to be massively deflated. Of course they are. But if we on the end of a defeat, then that's only going to galvanise them once again. And once again, they're creeping up and biting at ankles.
Yeah, that's. I mean, to go back to their game for a second. I mean, for them to concede as late as they did, that's a real, must be a killer. That. I mean, it's a knife through the heart. That's it's so late. But as you say, if we happen to not turn up tomorrow and we don't do the business, you almost feel like that momentum's then being passed back to Fulham again. So it's just really, it's just so nerve-wracking. I'm nervous just even thinking about it, to be honest with you. Like, but all we can do with tomorrow is that, to be fair, a lot of pressure's on Bruce. It always has been, of course. But I will say tomorrow the players have to turn up tomorrow. I understand we can blame Bruce about tactics and lack of training or whatever it may be, but the players tomorrow have to turn up tomorrow. It's on them as well, so fingers crossed. You're on mute still. You're not now. Yeah.
The band came over and started pressing the buttons. So
kids, man.
What I was going to say, mate, it's especially after that result that we got against Spurs and the display that we had. Obviously, we had X amount of shots. What was it, 20-odd shots on goal?
Something ridiculous like that.
Right? And there was chances, probably clear-cut chances, you would say. So you need, once again, when the position team, you need to take that performance into the next game. And how many times has that next game arrived and we're complete polar opposite?
Yeah, no, you're spot on. One thing I will say here, with Lascelles being out, I find that Burnley incredibly direct, especially if Wood's playing. I mean, he's a massive player. He's huge. That Barnes is a nightmare. Hate him, but he's a nightmare. I do worry with Kraft playing centre half, and I know Dummett's good in the air. Is Clark strong enough in the air? I do worry about their aerial ability. And now our 3 centre halves, I wouldn't say the tallest or the strongest. Do you know what I mean? Whereas Lascelles, at least Lascelles is a physical presence.
Well,
so we're going to have to be wary.
What you mentioned. I think it was either during the live watch along or during the instant reaction with that man right there, Mr. Stephen Best. We said that Lascelles, it might be on Monday night actually, mate. It might be with me, you, and Mark on Monday night. We said Lascelles, when he isn't in the team, we always look at that thinking the leadership's gone there, the organisation at the back's gone.
Yeah.
But when you're watching in-game, Lascelles in-game, you're thinking, nah, we've probably got better defenders than him that could take his place. So with Lascelles, it's a really strange situation that you're in, because when I heard the news that it's a fracture in his foot, isn't it, which he's picked up, I think we're really going to miss him there now. Just hand us a game.
No, but what you're saying I agree with completely. And what I think with Lascelles, and I've said this to you and I've said it many times on here on the show, is that he's a kind of defender where if we're playing against Man City and he had a Aguero run on him, I'd probably be having cold sweats during the night. But if it's like Chris Wood, who's, let's be fair, right, it's just long ball, strong, I think Lascelles can handle that. And Lascelles is the type of defender, definitely can lead. There's no doubt about it, right? He's a leader. And many times when we have lost a game, we've pointed at Lascelles not being there. The back fours look at shambles or whatever that might be. But I feel in certain games, Lascelles, because of how strong he is, how good he is in the air, and he can organise, is a real plus. And like so tomorrow against this type of opposition, you know what it is, you may need him. Well, that would be good. Barnes, that would be good because he's a bit of a nightmare. He's a bit of a nightmare. The deck
one of the things which came in there saying the captaincy can't go to Shelby tomorrow. It has to be Richie or Clark. It's going to go to Shelby either way. Shelby is vice captain, so it's definitely going to go to him. We've mentioned this so many times about Richie. Richie doesn't want the captain's armband. I think he's even quoted in an interview saying that he doesn't want it. Clark, he's worn it before.
He has.
But it's going to be Shelby, 100%.
It will be Shelby. And the one thing I will say is, all Richie has to do, I'm sure, right? Have you seen the footage of when Joe Linton scored? You would have seen that, right? And you can hear Richie just going berserk in the background. And Richie just needs to be Richie, right? Like, he is a captain. He might not have it on his arm, but I mean, he is. And I think it was vital that he was on against Spurs. And I think for a lot of people that perhaps forgot about Richie, I think his stock risen over the last week in regards to people who maybe just forgot all about him. And on Sunday, he showed what he can bring to the team. Not just in his delivery of the ball and stuff like that, but how he drives. He's tenacious. Yes, of course. Is he true Premier League quality? He's probably not. But in what we need at the moment, it's what we need. We need that type of player. Richie, the leader.
Yeah, you're right, mate. Another one there is about Joe Willock. He came on, grabbed a goal. Bruce told him to run around and score a goal. He did that.
Words of wisdom, right?
Exactly. It worked. 100% win record there. But with Willock, obviously he exploded on the scene. He did absolute dynamite that first game. Then he's adjusted it to Steve Bruce's tactics, then dropped down the pitch and started being more defensive. But it's another player that you're looking at thinking he got his goal. Does he deserve a chance to start against Burnley? It's Steve Bruce is in a really difficult situation right now, and I think no matter what team is selected tomorrow, that there's going to be people that aren't happy with certain players being played in there. But I think both me and you, and probably everybody watching, can relate to the fact that Hendrick shouldn't be anywhere near there whatsoever. He shouldn't even be on the bench for me. And that does worry us. I said at the very start, does worry us with Bruce. But Willock, I would probably keep him on the bench, if I'm being honest, and I would still start with Sean Longstaff and Shelby in the middle.
You couldn't play Willock and Shelby as a two in the middle. You would just get absolutely destroyed. Me worry is with Willock, all of Willock's best work is come where breaking in late at the box, appearing on the edge of their box. But in terms of being an actual centre midfield player, Willock's not that. And that's not his fault. I'm just saying that's not the type of player he is. I feel that if you're playing two in midfield like we did against Spurs, it's going to have to be Shelby and Longstaff. It has to be.
So there's a comment in there basically saying that we should be dropping Shelby and putting Willock and Sean Longstaff in there. Shelby's not getting dropped. 100%. He's not getting dropped. I agree with you. I'm not Shelby's biggest fan, but he's not getting dropped. Far from it.
No way. No, he's. I think Bruce leans on him for experience, calmness on the ball. He's vice captain. Do you know what I mean? And in fairness, and I will be honest here. I know everyone wants him dropped constantly, but I actually don't think he's been that bad the last few games. I've actually said a few times I actually thought he was okay. The Brighton game aside, but who was good at the Brighton game? But like,
there was improvements in the Spurs game, but that was probably across the full
across the field. Across the field. Well, yeah, Kraft's a huge issue. And this is the thing, you can talk about midfield, you can talk about who you're going to play up front, you're blue in the face. That position is still a problem. Kraft playing right centre half is still a problem. And we're seeing that against Spurs. Of course, Kane's ability and Son when he came on, I totally appreciate, it's a lot different than what Chris Wood's going to give you, right? But still, it's a worry. That position worries me greatly.
Right. Let's get some predictions, mate.
Okay.
So, we're going in this game needing, well, I wouldn't say needing all 3 points, but I think fans are desperate for all 3 points on this one because, like I said, that creates that cushion there. What's your prediction, mate?
I'm going 5-0 Newcastle. No, I'm not, obviously. I would love it. I'd probably strip if it was 5-0, actually, Chris. I'm going to go for 2-1 us.
Okay. Who's going to grab any goals?
I think I think Murphy's going to score,
Mm.
and I think Gale's going to score.
Right. Okay. I think this is going to be probably one of the most boring games that we've ever watched this season. And
Great,
it's got
thanks.
some competition. It's got some competition. I'm going to go for 1-0 Burnley.
Oh, fucking hell.
1-0 Burnley, and I think it's going to be a really dodgy decision, like a penalty decision or something daft like that. And I just honestly, I said weeks ago that I can't see us picking up another win. I'm sticking by that. I really am. And like I've said before, is every single time we have a decent performance, the next game we are absolutely rotten.
Yeah. I mean, well, hey, like, look at the results. Look at the amount of times we have won. And that remark keeps getting thrown around of 2-22 or 21, whatever it is now. We don't win many football matches. That is factual. And do you know what it is? I'm incredibly guilty of like seeing the positive. Like what I mean by that is like sometimes when the week goes on, I'm like, is I fancy one on Sunday or Saturday, and I've got no right to fancy it. Do you know what I mean? Really, I've got no right to fancy it. Burnley fans will be thinking, well, we should beat these to shite. Do you know what I mean? So Burnley's going to have the same opinion. But obviously, of course, I hope you're wrong. Obviously, I hope it's not.
Oh, I hope I'm wrong, mate. I hope I'm wrong. Hindsight, I hope I'm wrong.
Yeah.
I really do, mate. I'd take 1-0 now. I really would. With Newcastle, just
for one, like.
any sort of goal score. I couldn't care who scores. Couldn't get their
ref
score for us.
Yeah.
But I'm just not looking forward to it, mate. Hence why we are doing a live watch along. Well, I'm doing one. With Mark, I probably won't get a word in edgewise. He'd probably be screaming at the telly. But yeah.
Yeah, make sure that's aligned stream-wise, because if it's not, it'll be a long day for you.
It will be a very, very long day for me, mate.
Just the two of you, is it?
It is. Just me and Mark.
Yeah.
Oh, hang on. Okay, you go have a wee. I'm gonna watch this.
My son's birthday party tomorrow, so I cannot get out of that one, unfortunately.
So you're going for a 2-0, did you say? 2-1, sorry.
2-1, yes. Yeah, I do see them scoring. Yeah.
And I'm going for a 1-0 defeat.
What's some of the comments saying there? What's the comment saying for the result?
Mate, it's a bit of everything. Wrong one. So 1 in Newcastle. Then we've got 2-2. We have 5-1 Newcastle. Can't see that one happening.
I love that.
Mate, it's pretty
broad. Imagine if we just turned up and rinsed them. Can you imagine it? Like if that happened, it would just like 1, 2, 3, 4. I know it's never going to happen, but fucking hell.
1-1 Miggy to score. Mate, it's a pretty variety, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
Like I said, I hope I'm wrong.
Yeah.
I'm never doing this with kids yet ever again. Give us 2 seconds. Go sit over there.
You know what it is? That's why I stayed in my office. That's why I stayed here, because of that exact reason, mate.
Look, you're just there.
How big,
say hi to everybody? You're gonna wave? You're just gonna stick your tongue out. Okay.
Stick your tongue out, yeah.
What do you think the score's gonna be tomorrow? Newcastle gonna win? Yes or no? No. You've heard it here first. Denver said
he definitely gets that from his dad.
Right. We'll call it night, mate, because I'm gonna have to go and do bedtime by the looks of it.
All the best to you.
Thanks everybody for watching. Thanks as always. Please do like the video. What? Yes, okay. Right, thanks everybody. Enjoy the rest of your night. I'll see you tomorrow. He'll probably be here as well.
There we go.
He won't. Will you?
I won't be.
I'll still point at him. Decker won't. Denver will, and I'll be joined by Mark. See you all later.
Adios.